If you enjoy the content on this channel, please like and subscribe. Dark Side of the 2000s is a docuseries involving popular culture in the 2000s. The show dives into unseen histories of the 2000s decade, revealing dark secrets and personal insights from the people who observed it all firsthand. Each episode deals with a different topic from the decade. Episode 1, titled John and Kate Plus 8, The Family Circus, deals with John and Kate Goslin alongside their 8 children who have found new success with the reality show on TLC. The lines between fiction and reality are blurred when their real-life divorce becomes a plot point of the show, and later the subsequent child custody legal issues end up in one of the kids being confined in secret. Episode 2 deals with TRL. The MTV show Total Request Live, hosted by Carson Daly, had an instant impact on millennial teens in the music industry in the 2000s. Daly then of course left TRL in 2003, and the show tried to adapt to a new audience, while it also faced the threat of how people consume music, namely now on the internet and YouTube. Episode 3 deals with the rise and fall of former child actress Lindsay Lohan and the 24-hour gossip cycle that were completely and utterly obsessed with her. In Episode 4, the controversial paparazzi website TMZ is at the focus. TMZ raised from a small internet site to a media juggernaut, using questionable methods and tactics to report celebrity gossip. While it gets praised for first reporting Michael Jackson's death, it also is scrutinized for informing people about Kobe Bryant's death before the authorities do so, and his own family knew. Episode 5 deals with the rise of the shock jocks. Howard Stern becomes one of the most popular radio celebrities with his show. His highly publicized feuds with the Federal Communications Commission, better known as the FCC, and other shock jocks such as Opie and Anthony also rises the stakes, until an incident in 2002 gets the duo off the airwaves for 2 years. Episode 6 acts as a part 2 of the shock jocks, but this time it deals with the fall of them. Satellite radio gives shock jocks a new opportunity to push the boundaries even further, as Opie and Anthony reignite their feud with Stern. As the internet radios and podcasts take over the primary method of audio listening, Stern dabbles into mainstream, while Opie and Anthony's relationship gets strained and eventually the two part ways. Episode 7 deals with the rise of the reality series The Bachelor, which becomes a ratings hit and spawns a media franchise, but its authenticity and treatment to the contestants is also questioned and creates huge controversy. Episode 8 primarily now focuses on the actor Charlie Sheen, who of course had the huge hit 2.5 Men during the mid-2000s. Charlie Sheen's continuous battles with drugs and alcohol led to conflicts with the show's creator, Chuck Lorre, amongst his many other huge scandals purported at the time. Episode 9 deals with the British men lifestyle magazines Loaded and FHM, which are a success to the male youth of the 90s, giving them the moniker of Lad Mags. Led by Felix Dennis, the US arrival of Maxim becomes a massive success in the 2000s, while also harvesting a toxic and controversial legacy in its completely chauvinistic style of reporting. And finally, Episode 10 deals with the famous magicians of Siegfried and Roy. The duo became one of Las Vegas's most prominent acts by mixing magic and trained with big cats. Their lavish show made them nationwide celebrities and gave them a millionaire contract with the Mirage. However, on October 3, 2003, a white tiger attacks Roy under the conflicting circumstances, ending the duo's career. Now, I've been quite a big fan of the Dark Side series. Previous shows, of course, have dealt with the dark side of comedy, the dark side of 90s, and of course the dark side of the ring, which primarily focuses on the darkest side of the wrestling world. The documentary series is well paced and well put together and superbly edited. Now, this series really acts as a sort of continuation on from the Dark Side of the 90s show. Of course, now primarily focusing on the 2000s decade. Although, of course, the show does somewhat spill over into the 2010s as well. For example, the Charlie Sheen episode, really most of it took place in the 2010s, not so much the 2000s. But that's a minor gripe. It's just fascinating to look at popular culture of the time, and go back, as it were, and see what was relevant and what stood out. One episode that really stood out for me was the one about the Lads Mags. I remember being quite a big fan of FHM myself back in the day, but it's funny how dated those sort of concepts must be now today. These magazines were particularly chauvinistic and really geared at the sort of red-blooded male audience. The concept today would seem somewhat dated, but they really were of a time and place. The other episodes that took me back in time was, of course, Total Request Live, a show that I remember very well. And of course, it was the old days when people would vote in and get the music videos that they wanted to see on the show. That, of course, all changed, and MTV now has become more of a reality TV channel than a music one. You've been seeing episodes, of course, about the famous reality series The Bachelor and its contrived premise, and how really all fake it was. And of course the rise of the paparazzi website TMZ, which fed into celebrity feuds and culture, reminded you exactly how sort of crass, plastic and fake the 2000s could be. I particularly enjoyed the episodes about the shock jocks. Howard Stern has always been a figure that's absolutely fascinated me, and I'd never heard of Opie and Anthony going into the show, so seeing the rise of shock jocks and of course then later the Four was just a fascinating insight into how, of course, even how radio is now changed in our entertainment sphere. I found the episode on Lindsay Lohan quite sad. Here we had this American actress who was at the top of her career, was hugely famous and almost in every hit film at the time. But unfortunately, through drugs and alcohol, and maybe associating with the wrong people, her life really fell off the rails. It was also fascinating to take a look back at the rise of Paris Hilton, and remembering how famous she was back in the 2000s, and that obsession with people on reality TV, and living their life vicariously through these so-called stars. The episode about John and Kate Gosselin was frankly just sad and reminded us exactly our obsession with reality TV and seeing dramas of other people's lives play out, albeit in a fake sense. One of the more fascinating and insightful episodes was the episode about Siegfried and Roy. They, of course, were two German-American magicians and entertainers who performed together. Both German-born, the pair met on a cruise ship and began performing together on ships in European clubs and theatres. In 1967, they were invited to begin performing in Las Vegas, Nevada. Starting in 1990, they headlined a show at the Mirage Casino Resort. The performing career came to an end, though, however, in 2003, when Roy was critically injured by one of his tigers during a performance. Unfortunately, Siegfried lost his life to pancreatic cancer at the age of 81 in 2021, while Roy lost his life on May 8, 2020, at the age of 75 due to COVID-19. The episode, of course, details their historic careers, asking the question, were they actually romantically involved, and though they, of course, have always avoided discussion of their private lives. The episode also talks to other performers that unfortunately encountered the wild cats and were attacked. The two, of course, vehemently denied this and said that the cats were always so well behaved and there was never any problems. Look, as all the dark sides go, I must say this is probably one of the weakest series, as some of the subject matter maybe could have been chosen a bit better, but overall I still found it very fascinating and enjoyable, and there were some particular standout episodes. Once again, well paced, well researched, with some entertaining episodes. Dark Side of the 2000s gets an 8.5 out of 10.